So welcome to class, and our theme for today is an untheme. So sort of the freedom of the natural flow of things. And I welcome you to close down your eyes for just a few minutes and really take yourself inward, with the idea of really touching in with what you need this morning. And the anchor for you might be your breath, the inhale and the exhale. The anchor might be an awareness of your sitting bones, your hips, legs against the floor, grounding. You might rest on your back if you feel particularly tired this morning or depleted. Give yourself the time and the opportunity to really ask what it is you need today. I'll ring the singing bowl in just a few minutes to indicate the end of this time. And then from here, friends, just make your way to your back on your mat or your no mat, without disrupting your flow as much as possible. So you might even still have your eyes closed down. And just begin to move in a way that feels right for you this morning. So here's a little Mary Oliver, just a part of one of her most famous poems, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles in the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. So we're going to explore that today, the soft animal of our body, loving what it loves. I'll guide, and you can depart at any time, add or subtract, and just really try to follow what it is that you love, what your body needs, what your body wants. So take a few minutes here, really, perhaps even dropping into stillness between movement. The truth is that we all really have this wisdom and intelligence in our body. The rhythm of the universe in Sanskrit is called Ratam, R-T-A-M. And the rhythm how that appears in our world is called Ritu. I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly, but it's RTU. And it's the rhythm of season. So even this morning, snow in September in Boulder, well, that's the rhythm right now of the natural world. We might think of it as being off because we've changed our climate, but it is the rhythm that is being presented today. How do I flow with that rhythm? Prana is the life force that strings together our body, our mind, and our spirit in one breath. And if we're to be free and have the prana flowing freely, we have to be able to uncover the places where we've blocked that. We practice this practice to be able to see more deeply, more clearly, so that we can attend to the rhythm, the natural rhythm, rather than some artificial rhythm, some arrhythmic pattern that we've created. I'm going to move over now to my space. So as we continue, I will do some suggesting, and you are welcome at any point to deviate from these suggestions. But it'll be a pretty standard practice, beginning on our backs and moving to hands and knees and then to standing. So if you would, you could stack your knees over your hips with the knees pretty wide apart, and then just allow your knees to fall to one side, inhaling to draw one knee back up to the center, then the other, and letting the knees fall side to side. Keeping the arms open in the T position, and just allowing for this natural spiraling side to side, going at a pace that feels nice for you. And the next time your knees move in one direction, bring your arms together, your hands together, and then open up your arms so that you're back into the T. And then you're in a twist in one direction, and then you'll just inhale the knees back up to center and over in the other direction. Arms come with, and then open up that top arm, twisting in the opposite direction. And that's the pattern. And you can continue that pattern just like that, or if there's something that feels better to you or different, you can do more of a flow where you don't hold at all, or you can hold a little bit longer. So my hope for today is just to leave some blank pages that you might fill in. So twisting open here. Let's do a couple more rounds on each side. And then coming back to center and bringing your knees into your chest maybe crossing at the ankles, more of a Apanasana, or more of a Sukhasana shape. Just bring the knees in, rocking, feeling into your back. And then in a way that feels nice for you, we'll move through some circles with the knees, opening at the hips. Perhaps you've got both knees going at the same time, or maybe just one leg at a time, one and then the other. Just do what feels pleasing to your body once again. And then we'll bring both feet to the floor here. And with the soles of your feet on the floor and your hands alongside, you can move into some dynamic bridge. So lifting the hips, you could leave the arms behind you and roll down one vertebra at a time. Or you could lift and have everything come back to the earth at the same time. Or I'll leave a blank page here, and you can feel into this for yourself. Do keep the natural curves in your spine as you work in this movement. Might like going one arm at a time, looking in the opposite direction. Or you might be holding a bridge, or have your sacrum on a block in a supported bridge. Let's come together on our backs, and here, press your heels into the floor and lift your toes. And then as you lift your hips up, feel for sort of a scooping back of the hips, of the heels rather, towards your hips, towards where your sit bones would be as you lift, so the hamstrings are engaged. Arms alongside your body. If you want to lift your arms up, you could, or have them out to a T, but do have the toes lifted and feel the hamstrings engaged as then you lower back down slowly. Okay. Once again, you can begin with the soles of your feet on the floor. Lift your toes, press into your heels, and draw your heels back towards your sit bones and lift. Feel how that engages the hamstrings. And slowly lower. Here you might have a block between the legs, or you could imagine that you're squeezing a block between the legs. Again, press into the heels and draw them back towards your sit bones. Feel the hamstrings engage here as you lift into this bridge. So this allows more of the body to be engaged in the activity, in the action of the pose. And then from here, the next time you're back down on the floor, just stretch everything long in a way that feels nice. So maybe just stretching like a piece of taffy. You might go back and forth, pressing through one heel and the other, or take a big side bend. And let's land in the big X. So feet wide, legs apart, arms apart, big X position. And Then we could turn both feet to the right and turn both feet to the left so you feel some internal and external rotation happening in your legs. And settling back to the center, bring your legs back to parallel. Bend your right knee and place your right foot on the floor. And then we'll inhale and press into the right foot, inner right foot. Let your right hip lift up off the floor as you aim your right knee across the midline. Feel a big arch in your back and then release back down. We'll try that a few times. So pressing into your right foot, lift the right hip. The outside of the foot comes off the floor. Press to the inside of the foot. Maybe the right arm stretches back behind you. And draw your right knee down towards, away from your right hip. So you're really stretching through the outer right thigh. You have a lift in the low back, arch in the low back, right buttocks is off the floor. Now, we'll try that one more time. And release. And then come back and we'll do the left side. So right leg on the floor, long on the floor, left foot on the floor. And as you press into your left foot and lift your hip off the floor, draw your left knee across midline. Press, keep the inside of your left foot engaged and reach your left arm up and away, opening through the low back. You just get this big arch in the low back here as you draw your left knee across your body and release. I even feel this up into my pecs and underarms. So as you do the next one or two, reach the left arm away. You might feel a stretch in the front of your abdomen in the psoas, deep in the abdomen in the psoas muscle. And then release. Add one more. And back to center. And then bringing the soles of the feet back to the floor, just settling the hips and the pelvis, a few cat-cows or a few pelvic tilts here. And then you could have it be signature for you, maybe just forward and backward, maybe around in a circle. And then we'll cross at the ankles, or you could roll to one side, but we'll come up to a seat and right to hands and knees. Hands and knees. If your hands wrists are impacted in any way, you can come to your forearms here. But just, we all know the cat-cow movement. Let's do a few cat-cows on your own, as you wish. You could drop hips back towards heels. Inhale and sweep forward. You might take it in some circles. I'll leave the page blank for a few minutes as we work in this shape, these two shapes. We'll meet back with a neutral spine. And then bring your right foot forward between your hands. And you can have the back knee down or up as you wish, but moving just forward and backward and maybe around through the side as we open up through the hips. And to switch out of this, you could just take the right leg back and move the left leg forward, or you could turn the back toes under and lift the back leg and sweep one foot back, bring the other foot forward, knee down or knee up, and just work the other side. Just allow there to be a natural flow, natural intelligence coming forward in your practice, in your body. And however you transition, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Meet in downward facing dog. So many options here. So you might move forward and backward from the high Dandasana back to downward dog. Or you might bend through one knee, the other, stretching through your calves, your Achilles tendon. You could shorten your downward dog and take a twist. I'll leave the page blank for a few moments. Have the inner stillness, listening to what your body wants this morning. And then let's all walk our feet forward to the hands, deep forward fold, bending the knees. And then take your hands to your hips, elbows in towards one another, and press through your feet to lengthen and come up to standing. And now in the Tadasana, you might take your feet wide and move through your hips. You might stand in a even standing, Samistihi, Tadasana, and just find your feet, find your balance. And we're going to move into some balancing work with the feet. So we'll inhale the arms up and you could come up onto your toes. And exhale and lower down. So here, lots of options. You could stay. You could go in more of a vinyasa where you're moving up and down quickly. You could bring them just turning around. You could bring the hands to the back of the shoulders. Opposite hand, opposite shoulder. All things we've done together many times. And just seeing how it is this morning. And then we'll separate the feet a little wider. We'll go into some lateral movement into the lateral side of the body. So we could inhale one arm up and come with the other hand down the other leg. And reverse in the opposite direction. In any way that you feel like expressing through the lateral sheath of the body. You might take the arms just above your head and do a little smaller, more subtle movement. And just feeling into the sides of the body. And this opens up the rib cage, which allows us to breathe deeper. You might open up your stance and come through kind of a big windmilling motion as you move from one side to the other. You can make it up, friends. Allow the body to lead. And we'll meet in Tadasana in just a few minutes. Take a little bit more time. I'll leave the page blank for just a few minutes. And we'll land back in Tadasana and just close your eyes here and feel the stacking of your bones. Feel for you could reach the back of your head towards the heavens. So you're feeling for a stacking of your head right over the pelvis. And here just now with the eyes closed, can you play just a little bit through the shoulders? So bringing the palms forward, maybe taking the palms back. So we're working in external and internal rotation of the arms. Legs are strong and steady. Navel is upstroked slightly. So there's an engagement in the core. Maybe you even bring the arms out to a T and work with the shoulders there. And then we'll take our feet wide in a wide stance, preparing to go into warrior two. So with the feet nice and wide and your ankles underneath your wrists, before we move into the warrior two position, is there a different stance you'd like to play with? Maybe a bigger stance, maybe a shorter stance. And then you'll turn one foot out and the other heel slightly out. And reach the arms long here. And you might hold your warrior two, or you could vinyasa through straightening the front leg, arms up, or you could have something completely different. You could have the legs in warrior two and the hands in downward facing dog. Give yourself a couple of minutes to feel for what might feel nice to you and supportive to you this morning. I'm someone who really likes to vinyasa, really likes to move, even though I move slowly. I like the little bit of movement. Feels good in my body. And then maybe once I've got that movement, I can hold. You can do anything here that feels nice. You could move into extended side angle or into the triangle pose. Take a few minutes on this side to do whatever feels supportive for you this morning. Maybe you just go through those three shapes a few times. And then once we do, we'll just turn the feet back to facing forward parallel to one another and turn the opposite foot out. Opposite heel goes back, so we have the same legs in the opposite direction, and then the same thing for you, just deciding what might feel nice here and moving in a flow through some standing postures. Might have to deal with a little chaos if you don't have your mat and you're slipping around a little bit. That's not such a bad thing either. And then we'll come back to the wide-legged stance. Just meeting here with the legs still apart, but feet facing forward. Let's take our hands to our hips and bow forward. And here, you can bring your hands to the floor, bring your weight more into the front of your feet, to the balls of your feet. Maybe it's in your practice to go into a headstand. You could do a headstand right here. Or you could have your head resting on a block. You could have your hands forward and move through a little vinyasa where you lengthen through the back and then exhale to fold. But give yourself just a couple minutes, I'll keep the page blank, to feel into what might be nice here. Keep the strength in the legs, firm in your foundation. And then we'll come to meet with both hands underneath our shoulders. Let's bring the one hand right underneath your sternum and twist in the opposite direction. Opposite arm comes up towards the ceiling and release. Take the other hand right underneath your face or your sternum and twist in the opposite direction. Keeping the hips level, the pelvis level. Try that again. And then with your both hands underneath, heel toe the feet a little closer. Bend through your knees, bring your forearms to your thighs and come into a deep, big squat. Good, and we can move back and forth here, just feeling a little opening through the groin, through the pelvic floor. And then hands to legs. Hands to legs, and then draw your tailbone under, draw your pelvis underneath your body, coming into goddess. And here, same thing, you might flow through this posture, or you could hold your goddess, come up onto one set of toes and the other set of toes. Just feeling into this expression here. and what might feel like something that is supportive to you in some way. Either it's work for you or just feels nice in your body to move in a certain way. You might add upper body movement, flowing side to side. And then we'll heel toe the feet together, come back to standing here, and just rotate the hips around in one direction and the opposite direction. And we'll come into the chair pose now. So dropping the weight back into the heels, dropping the hips back. Let's begin just with our hands on our hips. As you bend through your knees and drop your hips back, your release will be to stand up and bring the arms up overhead. And then we'll drop down, back down into chair now with the arms out in front. And then we'll release by standing up. And then we'll drop down. So you might drop down a little bit lower each time. You might work to have the arms out in front or the arms beside the ears. And you might play with weight in one foot, lifting the other foot, shifting the weight in one foot and the other foot. You might even here come into the figure 4, resting your elbow in the sole of your foot, other one on the other leg. Balance off today, but play with it. Move from the figure 4 to a forward fold. Going for the symmetry of same thing on both sides. We'll meet in a forward fold in a few breaths. And once we're in the forward fold, hands to the hips, elbows in tight towards one another, press into your feet, hinge up, and come back to Tadasana. Let's take one more standing balancing posture. We'll go to Vrikasana. Again, lots of choices here, including stepping up on the block. I'm just getting my block here. So we've practiced in the past the stepping onto the block in hovering the opposite foot and then placing that foot into Vrikasana, tree pose. You could be on the floor. So just a couple of reminders that if when you bring the leg up and place that foot against the other leg, if the hips are off balance, you can bring the knee forward slightly to line the hips up. So play with Vrksasana here. I'm completely off balance today. It's an interesting self-observation. I'm going to play with the block myself. Wherever you are, be kind. Be kind to yourself. Of course, you could do this as a flowing sequence as well, bringing the opposite leg up, going to tree. Maybe even adding some of your own variation of this posture, your own signature, stretching the arms or engaging in a lateral tree. The trees outside are quite lateral this morning here in Boulder, very heavy with snow. No limits, no limits. Here we'll come back then to the Tadasana, and now you could take a sun salutation, any choice of getting back to the floor, a couple of rounds of that, or you could just come back to the floor and have a seat, whatever works for you. We'll just meet back on the floor in a few breaths with one leg in the bent Sukhasana position and one leg extended out. And with the leg that's bent, we'll take the same hand beside that leg and then press up onto our shin and reach over, extending through the side of the body and dropping the hips and reaching over to the opposite leg. You could open up more like a Janu Sirsasana or just bend over that leg. So pressing up off the shin, reaching through opposite arm, and then reaching, setting down and reaching towards the opposite foot, the extended leg, or maybe even bringing up the other arm into more of a, almost like a Janu Sirsasana. So flow back and forth that way. You could have the heel just pressing into the floor or the sole of the foot on the floor. Just make it your signature. Let it unfold. So you might even come up onto into this first position and take both legs back and find yourself in sort of a Vashisthasana, side plank. And then you could slide that leg back and come on over. Just allow your body to speak to you here. Perhaps the back leg lifts and you're in like an Ardha Chandrasana on your hands. And knee. Be safe with your body, but be able to explore. And we'll come into some symmetry in between sides. So just an easy, not too far away, the legs are not too far apart, and an easy fold here, and then the other side. Again, playing with a flow. Exploring some different options. After a few more breaths, we'll come back to center. This time, bring the legs out in front in Dandasana, setting your hips up on a blanket if you need to. And then bringing toes back towards shins, pressing your whole leg into the floor. Inhale to lift through the chest, through the heart space, and exhale just a teeny fold here. So once again, you might work just with the inhale, extending through the chest, and the exhale, a little fold. You might be able to put a block on the other side of your feet and come into a deeper fold. Honor your body, honor where you are. And then from here, we're going to take and we'll bend the left leg and bring your left foot very close to your buttocks. And if you need to sit up on a edge of a blanket, if you get round in the back here, that means you need to sit up on the edge of a blanket. And we're going to go to Marichasana, but we're going to go ahead and allow our pelvis to turn. So we'll offset the right hip a bit. Left hip hand comes behind, and then come into the twist. So you're really letting your pelvis turn to the left with the twist. And then unwinding. I'll change my position here for the other leg to kind of show you different. So now I have my right knee bent with my right foot very close to my buttocks, but I'm going to offset the opposite hip so that as I turn, right hand behind, left arm comes over, my pelvis is turning or twisting with the twist. So I'm letting everything move, pelvis, spine, kind of all in one line, all together. And then release. And then we'll come back to our backs. Now, we haven't done a lot in the arms, so if you need to do some shoulder opening before you come down to your back. You could do some shoulder opening. Lots of choices here that we do together. Just showing you a couple of things that we are very familiar to you probably. So you could do the eagle arms. Take a few minutes to work through your neck, and I'll leave the page blank for just a few breaths here. And then we'll transition to our backs. And from here, you could come back down to your back. Take a couple of breaths just to get still and ask your body what it needs now. Perhaps you're ready to drop right into Shavasana. And perhaps you need a little more movement, settling. And make this, if you can, allow this finishing part to be with great ease. Now this is Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman. I celebrate myself, and I sing myself. And what I assume, you shall assume, that every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. This is why we practice together. I celebrate myself and sing myself. And what I assume, you shall assume, that every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and I loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. So just now allow yourself to completely unfold, completely unwind. Relaxing the muscles around your eyes, between the brow. Softening your hands. Each inhale into a soft belly. Each exhale, releasing deeper into this earth, which is still here to support us. Feel the anchor of your body, your breath, the faith that you have in the things unknown. Faith in the mystery. Can we let the mystery be? And so, with the theme of this class, if you'd like to stay in Shavasana, just stay. Just stay as long as you would like. Really identifying what is the desire of your body right now. And I'll close us with a prayer, a poetic prayer from David White. The blessing of the morning light to you. May it find you even in your invisible appearances. May you be seen to have risen from some other place you know and have known in the darkness, and that carries all you need. May you see what is hidden in you as a place of hospitality and shadowed shelter. May what is hidden in you become your gift to give. May what is hidden in you become your gift to give. May you hold that shadow to the light and the silence of that shelter to the word of the light. May you join all of your previous disappearances with this new appearance, this new morning, this being seen again, new and newly alive. Thank you for being together today and being a part of this community. Namaste.